Be the traveler that Lady Farina mentioned. Listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'd avoid getting mixed up in this whirlpool of a mess if I were you.
Huh? What do you mean?
Come with me and you'll see. The deceased is one of Linny's assistants, named Cal. Even though he hadn't joined the troupe long, he was hardworking and everyone generally liked him. The assistants are usually in charge of setting up and inspecting the props, as well as assisting with the show and keeping the crowd engaged. As you probably saw when you were in the audience, the water tank suddenly fell and smashed the box with Cowl inside it. This is the real mystery. We've already searched the scene and were unable to find any traces of the girl. However, if you look carefully, the box was positioned directly under the water tank. The ropes holding the tank were then burned by the pirate. All these factors lining up so perfectly makes it hard. If anything, the more logical explanation is that the whole incident was intentionally planned, and Linny...
But he doesn't have a motive!
Are you both good friends of his?
Well, you can't say we're
So in just a short time, he was not only able to win your trust, but even convince you to... I know there's no such thing as magic. The real trick of I've seen a lot of cases. And I can tell you that people are the least reliable kind of evidence. Sorry, I tend to be pretty straightforward. Just know, anyway, you may investigate the scene of the crime yourselves if you're curious. Who knows, maybe you'll be...
So this is the rope that broke and caused the water tank to fall. The rope looks pretty durable. How can it be burned through so quickly by fireworks? Why are you suddenly so serious, Traveler? Whoa! Look! This bit is made from different material! Most of it was burned away, but there's still a little bit of it left. Huh. So if a rope meant to hold something was made with that kind of... Wait! Why don't you write all this down? Let's take notes!
The investigation team has some new findings. Turns out there's an issue with the random number selector after all.
See, I told you. What if the machine picked some big guy's seat? You think the murderer would have still made his move then?
Sorry to interrupt, but we're helping Linny and Lynette with their side of the investigation.
You're trying to help them? That'll be a tall order.
Lenny used the machine to pick a random member of the audience during his performance, right? Well, we thought there might be a serious problem with the machine, so we had it.
It turns out that the seat number it picked wasn't random at all. The machine picks that same I'm sure you already know that you have to make a reservation in advance to get a seat, regardless of whether it's a trial. In other words, Lenny knew who would be sitting.
That much checks out. Lenny reserved our seats for...
That you see why I was saying it'd be tough to make a case for Lenny.
This location has also been cordoned off because the Magic Troop members are currently considered prime suspects. The investigation team is still collecting evidence. The seats were all booked in advance, so we were able to deduce the missing woman's identity by Sure, it's not like this is confidential information. We will publish it later anyway when we petition the public to help us find the missing person. Her name is Halsey. She's a painter from Fontaine who's made a bit of a name for herself. Apparently, she wasn't a regular at the Opera House, but she'd been feeling some pressure with her work lately, which made her decide to... The Magic Troop members all claim not to know her. We have looked into it. Simply put, she wasn't related to the Magic Troop at all, which matches the feature.
Were the victims of
That's how it seems to us, in any case. Apart from the fact that they were all young women of around the same age range.
Okay then.
No need to be so formal. If you do happen to... It is of utmost importance.
Go ahead, have a look around.
Whoever the murderer was, why would it... Gosh. No...
Lenny's still talking to the guards. I think someone will be assigned.
I see that you're investigating the area. Well, it just so happens that I'm interested too. If you find any new...
We don't have too...
Then why don't I tell you my hypothesis first?
The thud? Oh, you mean this...
Yes, exactly. It wasn't terribly loud. It's just that everyone was awaiting the results of Lenny's trick with bated breath. So no one paid it much mind. But I'm of the opinion that it may have been the sound of Lenny's accomplice. Lynette, perhaps. Jumping atop the water, and when the pyrotechnics went off, she cut the rope, sending...
Wait, wasn't the noise we heard too loud for...
Perhaps the balance wasn't right, leading to a particularly rough landing. Oh, that's true.
That does remind Paimon the...
Yes, both of you.
Huh? You mean us?
That's right. If I'm not mistaken, you're also among those who wish to cut down the thorns and pursue the truth.
Well, you're right on the more about that one, but who are you?
Have you never heard of the Spina di Rosula? From mediating disputes and providing protection to solving conundrums, you name it, Spina di Rosula does it. And I, Navia, have the honor of being its renowned president. Though those who play by our rules...
I'm Silver, her attendant. Pleased to meet you.
And I'm Melus, Demoiselle's various daily...
Huh? Boss? Demoiselle? What gives with the names?
Well, I am the second-generation president. Melus and the other...
My apologies, Demoiselle. Should you prefer, boss, I will endeavor to use...
No, no need. You don't have to call me boss. Just Navia is fine.
Okay, if you say so. Not that we're members of Spina di Rosula anyway.
All merely trifling details. Never mind. Now, that's right. I've always kept an eye on the serial disappearance cases. My interest stems from a matter back... Judging from the look of things, I find...
Really? We think so too! That's why... But how did you...
Intuition, naturally. My unparalleled Farina sure was quick to point the finger at Linny without any decisive evidence whatsoever, wasn't she? But that's not uncommon for her. If you remember, the Justice had to interrupt her and ask if she was pressing charges just to keep her from getting carried away. Anyway, a trial begins the moment someone levels charges. And, of course, there was no way Farina was going to back down in that situation.
Sounds more like you just don't trust the Hydro Archon.
Well, what's your opinion? I must admit that she can be interesting at times, but liking her doesn't mean that I'll blindly agree with... All right, I've answered your question. Now, it's time you answer...
Wait a minute! Did that answer count?
Well, I say it does. But don't worry. In your opinion, do you think it's right to treat a trial like it's an...
Well?
And why would that be? See, Silver and Melus?
Most astute of you, Demoiselle. I, too, think that the Traveler's response was most... No matter how wonderful the script or how fervent the audience's expectations may be, then if that can be done, boss, then...
All right, that's quite enough, Melus. Anyway, I like your answer. Now, I need to make some preparations, following which our joint investigation shall...
Wait! Since when did we become assistant?
Oh, well, I can be the assistant. Sure. Or you...
That's more like
it. Far be it from me to brag, but I believe that Demoiselle's intuition will be... You wish to save a friend from false accusations.
You have a point. And what about you over there? What do you think? You seem like...
I have nothing to add.
Oh.
We'll be making some preparations first. Just be sure to let us know if they...
Sorry, but no one can freely enter or exit the Opera House at the moment. If you wish to leave...
No, we're not leaving. We're representing... Were you always guarding this entrance?
Yes. After the Chief Justice gave the order, everyone coming. So, the missing girl couldn't have left from here. At least, not from that point on. I doubt there was much opportunity.
How can you be so
Well, because I was in charge of security near the... I couldn't see Linny's performance from here, which was quite a shame. Just my luck. But still, I did not abandon my post. And I stayed put no matter how loud the applause was. If someone had so much... We Melazines are good at that sort of thing, you know.
So, it's safe to say the girl couldn't... All right, thank you for your help. This'll be... everything of note here at the performance venue. Paimon wondered... Why would it be him? How strange. Gosh, no wonder the serial disappearances never got solved. We all heard that noise. The performance would not have been whoever the murderer. This rope was. People needed to register and reserve a seat. Let's go see, shall we? Ooh, things are getting interesting, huh? We're about to see how magic is made.
Understood. Then I will be going with you. Just so you're aware, I will be monitoring your actions and making notes as necessary.
Very good. Thanks for being so agreeable. I'd pull a rose out of my hat as a gift for you if I could.
You may spare the pleasantries.
You've arrived. Who's this?
Me? I'm Spina di Rosula's guardian angel. If you've got a problem, I've got the firepower. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. Call me Nav, and these are my companions. Would you mind if they join as well?
Fine by me.
Oh, new helpers?
Well, let's just say we're tagging along. It's not every day you get to see the secrets behind magic performed on...
I appreciate your kind interest. Come with me. We'll be heading below stage.
Huh? Below stage?
Yes, a world of secrets is hidden beneath this magic box. But before I reveal everything, you should have a look first. Notice anything strange here? I'm not trying to be dramatic. Remembering the details of a trick will help you understand the methods used to perform it more easily.
Huh. Weren't there balloons and other decorations here? Where did all that go?
Ah, good eye. That said, you're still far from discovering the answer.
The back? You mean the inside of the door? What?
Very good indeed. I thought you might... The back of this door was patterned. Those patterns are now gone, replaced by a smooth wooden board. So, if you put 2 and 2 together, what do you get? Exactly. All right, let's go. I'll tell you how it works as we head down.
Oh, so there was a passageway under the magic box!
I knew you'd figure out most of it as soon as you saw this place. The 2 magic boxes are positioned right above the... See this flatbed trolley? The box with the lucky audience member in it would be shuttled over to the other side using the trolley.
This trolley can raise and lower and even rotate, ensuring that the box will face in the right direction.
I see. So that's the purpose of the box inside...
Precisely. The inner box would descend after the audience member was put inside and be moved along the trolley.
So that's how you did it!
Once the box was lowered, the trolley would store some energy through this device here. The audience member would only be able to feel some slight movements in the dark, and by the time she walked out, she would already be...
Right! You were talking that whole time, and you even came out for a moment.
Ah, yes. A phonograph operated by Lynette was used to achieve that effect. My assistant and I had already scripted our conversation beforehand. When the countdown began, I had already gone to the opposite box via a tunnel used...
And what about Lynette?
I was in the mezzanine space in the back of the box.
Oh, interesting!
That's how we were able to coordinate Linny's lines with the assistant. And, by the way, I was the one who walked out of the box at the end.
I mean, we are twins. All it takes is a change of clothes and no one can tell who's who. And that's my favorite part of this trick. Only Lynette and I can perform it.
So that's how it all worked! Wow, detail you were...
Lynette would briefly walk out of the box and then go back in, jumping into the tunnel and escaping before the box on the... And then I walk out of the other box in the audience area, and the trick would be complete. But as you saw, Cal was in the box, not our audience.
We really don't know how that happened.
If not for that interlude, this would have been an astonishing trick. I probably never... And yet, to think that someone was able to... Could we have a look around? I think we can...
This is the scene of the crime, so Linny and Lynette are not permitted to stay here.
Yes, of course. No need to be so strict now. I won't disappear into...
Thanks, everyone.
What's this?
Looks like a hook tied to the end of a rope. Huh? There's all kinds of...
Perhaps it was a prop for a different...
Whatever it is,
The floor is wet. Please be careful not to slip.
Speaking of which, why would there be what?
Oh, Paimon knows! It's one of those tricks where you pour water into a jug and then flip the jug over only for the... And here's a broken vase! Huh.
That can't be.
Let's note this...
Oh. These are the clothes that the lady chosen. Her clothes are here, but she's nowhere to be found.
Right. And do you really need to do that if you're kidnapped? Ugh, this is so confusing. What is this place?
It seems someone could fit through here.
You're right! Let Paimon write that down. Seems we're just about done investigating down here.
Yes, let's head back up.
Whoever the murderer was, why would it be him? And that ticket, that's...
Well, we've ascertained the state of the crime scene. Let's find a place to sort out our findings once Malouse returns. Seems to me that there are several things that don't add up here.
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle.
So, what did the guards say? Did the criminal escape through the vent?
They believe the odds of that are very low, since the vent leads to the Opera House's basement. The guards have checked the area carefully. No one left through the basement during the performance or after the incident, and no one was...
So the tunnel's become like a secret chamber then! You know, like the kind you usually...
The plot thickens. Halsey's disappearance and Cowell's death. No wonder Farina was so confident in her accusation. All the current evidence points toward Linny and Lynette.
In other words, the charges are very likely to be upheld unless we make some considerable...
Charges and then trial. So if the charges are upheld, they'll announce...
That's right. This is how a trial goes in the Opera House. During the proceedings, the Chief Justice and the Oratrice will hear statements from both sides. That's right. This is how indemnity... The statements from both sides, the defenses from attorneys, witness testimonies, and even, to put it simply, it's as if the Oratrice has its own will. And
this also precludes any kind of favoritism on the part of the Chief Justice. And not that this has ever happened anyway.
Once both sides have finished speaking, the Chief Justice will make his final decision. This too, then, finally, the Oratrice will be consulted by officials. The resultant return...
Huh? So that machine is the one that actually decides?
In practice, there is very little difference. Both have always come to the same judgment. Which is... Ah, yes, the guards also asked me to convey that none of us...
Huh?
Because we've chosen to act as the twins' proxies. That makes us...
They're concerned that we might be colluding with outside parties. And even if that were not so, it could prove problematic if we happen to spread key information.
I'm ready to break out at any time.
Whoa! There's no need for that! Paimon thinks they have a point. That said...
Of course. I just hope you don't mind the lack of options. I'm afraid that catering to all tastes is not in the cards, nor is any...
In that case, let's just sort out our findings together here. Pity. I was hoping to take you to try some of Fontaine's famous desserts, too. I mean, what better way to properly think through our findings than over...
Huh. Breaking out suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad idea after all. Just kidding! Paimon will still do her best, even if there are no...
What do you mean, no snacks? Of course we'll have...
Huh?
Understood, demoiselle. Everyone, please come with me.
Wait, you're carrying a portable stove with you?
Yes, I must be prepared to meet the demoiselle's baking needs.
I have eggs, sugar, and almonds at the ready.
Good work, you two. Then I'll get to it. Please sit tight for a moment. You'll get to taste my awesome snacks soon enough.
These three are quite the interesting group. And Paimon thought it smelled good while it was still in the oven! Oh, it's even... From the way you had these two guys carrying all that stuff around, but you ended up doing the entire thing by yourself! Beating the egg whites,
I was applauding.
And I was giving encouraging smiles.
Paimon was just thinking, aren't you worried about getting your fancy dress dirty beating egg...
Well, I don't think it's carved in stone anywhere that fancy ladies can only read books, sip tea, ride horses, and play the piano. Don't underestimate beating egg weights, by the way. It's a real arm workout. You also need to beat them to just the right consistency, or your macarons will crack. Anyway, give these a try, fresh out of the oven. There's 3 for each of us.
Only 3?
Well, eating too many sweet treats might send all that sugar to your head.
Tea is ready to be served as well. This is Demoiselle's favorite, strong. No need for concern, I mean...
All right then. Down to business. However, we can assume that Linny and Lynette were not alone within it. Some criminal also occupied it. The magician twins could have committed the crimes, of course.
Exactly! Why would they do such a thing right when everyone was watching?
The flower vase and the thud we heard during the performance could indicate some altercation between Halsey and the criminal in the tunnel, resulting in the shattering of the vase, the discarding of her clothes, and her... Perhaps the criminal thought that since she was chosen from the crowd, she would be too easy to identify if she was still...
Paimon thinks that makes sense, but the real trouble is...
True. None of the clues we found thus far support the existence of this... But the only people left to consider are both technically victims. Whether it's the missing girl...
Huh. Could Halsey have secretly made modifications to the magic props in order to murder Cowell before making her escape?
That's right. And even if she had tampered with the setup, she would need... Nor does she have any motive. The guards said that she has never had any...
Were we not through on... From the sound of things, this is turning into an impossible... Your macarons are amazing though, Navia. They smell great!
They are my specialty after all. And
What? 5? Oh, that can't be right. Paimon only counted 3, honest!
Please don't worry about it. At my age, a few less sweets might actually be a good thing.
No. Being greedy is one thing, but Paimon knows how to... Besides, Paimon knows that if she ate too many, then others wouldn't have enough. Wait, even you don't believe Paimon? If Paimon ate those 2 extra macarons, then may they turn into stone in her stomach!
all right, we get it. Well, I suppose one of us might have gotten too engrossed. Malus, set up the stove again if you would.
Huh? What?
Making sure everyone gets 3 macarons, of course.
Exactly. We don't want to...
As you wish, Demoiselle.
And I have the egg, sugar, and almond.
Well, this...
Well, that's it for snack time. I'm going to have another look around the... I don't know what we're looking for yet, but we've still got some time. As attorneys, I suggest it would be awkward if you got all tongue-tied on...
All right, thanks for your help.
It was nothing. A small task for the Spina di Rosula. Silver, Malus, it's time to go. I'll be back if I find anything new.
All right, it's time to put our heads together. We've got to get our defense ready for the trial. Oh, it's probably gonna be a long and difficult case. There's no point in worrying about that now. We just need to prepare. Here, take Paimon's notes. They should help you review the situation. This is probably... Paimon doesn't get this at all.
So this is a day in the... The trap. I'm learning more about you all the time.
What do we do? The whole situation is so confusing. Good plan. Impossible things don't just happen. We'll get to the...
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette. Besides, I doubt Farina understands anymore.
Thanks, Navia.
Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No, we're already very grateful.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed. Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most...
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might leave an impression of any kind?
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Huh?
Hey, hang on!
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the...
I was right by the box, and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never... Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid. Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the house?
The House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatsui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. This was almost too easy. Oh, good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying.
Hey, Linny! Why didn't you tell...
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Farid, first, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr. Linney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the set.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary?
The defendant deceived their own attorneys.
Order! Order! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial...
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? In that case, my dear audience, let's...
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydroarch... I'm sorry, Traveler.
Yeah, sorry. Paimon just knew where to start. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't, not to set the wrong tone or anything, but...
I'm very sorry. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing... But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very...
Right now, we want to save people. As many as...
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some... The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to try. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not in this case.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but... Right, let's hear your answer first, and no...
Of course. I'll answer any question you... We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core has been... From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which...
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite certain that voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution, and on the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground. But the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought. After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to...
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But, like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui...
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusation, huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets...
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her construction of the events.
Ugh, that took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective. The countdown began. He entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud.
He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise. So Linny proceeded to knock him out too afterward. Linny passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box and there you have it.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Lin... See... According to Linny, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have... Linny went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. Linny did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed...
Attention! Aced it! When the countdown started, Linny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since the crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic, finally he reached the surface, and that...
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing.
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case.
Oh.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have? Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box, You're saying that he wasn't?
That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the... This means that when the crime happened, Linny had... The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof!
Well, to think you'd use such Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
there have been a third person involved? Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or... the deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Halsey is the missing person. Could there have been a third person? The deceased's name is Cowell.
That can't be...
Oh, is that so?
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. So where... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been something. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between... Linny was not in the tunnel at... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Linny as well. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from a clash. No one entered or left... No one entered or... The deceased's name is Cowell. Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between... Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. Halsey's clothing was in the... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. No one entered or left the The deceased's name is Cowell. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. No one entered or left. The sound we heard may have... Linny was not in the tunnel at... It would have been tough for both people. The sound we heard may have come... Linny was not in the tunnel at... It would have been tough for both... It would have been tough for both... The deceased's name is Cowell. Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. The deceased's name is Cowell. It would have been tough for both people.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things?
I see how it is.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different... Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly...
If only we knew how Halsey does... Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient?
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which the sound we heard may have come. The deceased's name is. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been. The vase was not broken by chance.
Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes. If there's a similar method...
How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality. Must we really? I should think that if magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's...
Even so, I trust the truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather... Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings.
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, guards, please step into the lounge and examine the person...
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must... We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword... One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of... As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is...
You've got to be kidding! People deserve...
It's something so ridiculous.
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but...
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a mean... Just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partner?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded... Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence.
Of course. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make... Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
The deceased's name is... Lynette was in the magic box. I remember there was something else within... The water from the primordial... The water from the primordial sea should already... The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she... I remember there was something... I remember there was... Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick. The rope that held the water tank up was... Lynette was in the magic box on stage. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for...
It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowl would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the prime... Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to...
Huh. That actually links together a lot of the more confused...
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused?
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact... His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal...
What?
That can't be. Oh, I see. Well, does this not clear? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to... Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish using the water. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also be... Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite... Am I right, Mr.?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the...
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough now. I believe this is indeed the... Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice. Excuse me, everyone, but I mustn't...
Miss, I must ask you not to shout.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who is... What?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my...
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today? Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rosula has made them, but as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of dupe... I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, And then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowl.
What?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to... I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and... There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costume. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story from Lily-Ann's perspective. The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lily-Ann's attempt to break out when the flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but it was smashed during... Lily-Ann was afraid that she would be recognized if she left.
Selected out of the blue, Lily-Ann, her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud. Hearing the commotion, Cowl leapt into the tunnel, only to he did not know that Lily-Ann was not from Fontaine. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect, he tried to force... The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lily-Ann came out on top. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk. That she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, She
had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped to a...
At this point, all the event...
so bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak again? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such...
What? Are you reading? No. I have no further arguments.
Wow! Look at that!
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, the actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowl, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the water. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the... If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian, thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus... From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused... While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know.
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a...
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-up...
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to... Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and...
Yes! Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to... It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration. We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about. The...
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true, but...
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Linny...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look, but still. Let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess. But regardless, I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Linny this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like... That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, would you mind hearing it? Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering. To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us.
So you went from orphans to
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side and we could say good. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift.
Oh no. But wouldn't Fontaine's laws
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood. And the nave.
So, she'd already taken.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement. The knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. I was hesitant to trust her. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own plan. She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way.
So, she believes in that
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further support. Everyone at Hotel Bouffe d'été, including the knave, has their roots in Fontaine. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at
It's all right. I understand. The only thing I can do is relate all this to you. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that I believe what I'm doing is right. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Linny.
Bye, Linny!
Hey there! What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving— Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the—
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Ah, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become... sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate...
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navi is treating, kill Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the Court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer?
All right then, let's have our... Welcome to the Navia line. This journey will be returning to the Court of Fontaine. I am Elfan, your tour guide for this trip. But I hope you won't mind if my commentary fails to do justice to the majestic views before your eyes. Anyway, the destination of this tour is the capital city of this nation, the Court of Fontaine. Even the critic who once compared the city to a cage of stone and steel could not deny its aesthetic appeal. To the right of the aquabus, suspended in midair, is Fontaine's renowned research institute. I hear the employees there do crazy overtime regardless of rank or distinction. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with the incident. Excellent. We've reached the terminal station. Please prepare to disembark. I don't mean to hurry you, but there are just so many attractions in the Court of Fontaine worth visiting. I recommend that you begin sightseeing as soon as possible, so you encounter as many of these treasures as you can. As for me, I might use this opportunity for a rest. Maybe I'll go to our ways for a cup of coffee. Even tour guides need a pick-me-up now and then.
I came here several times with my father when I was little, but stopped eating here as often after growing up.
Oh, don't worry! We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while. Paimon's getting excited already.
In that case, I'll go order for us first. Please wait.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in fun.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of Spina di Rosula next time.
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone. Albeit...
Yeah. Sure. Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? We did just win that case after all.
Oh, true. Very true. In that...
Huh? Paimon didn't mean that you had to order even more food. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get...
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young women, but we still don't know what they are really after.
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed that a person...
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous notion that the investigation could never really move forward before.
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking! We were so close to hearing who was behind...
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a yawning chasm if the trail of clues is cut off. To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability. It's just that a different perspective is required in some matters. It's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. A shift in thinking is required at such times in order to produce a breakthrough. Which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exist. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where filth falls through, where their watch fails them. That's the kind of problems we solve.
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal, so I doubt you have further interest in this business, right? Let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't really seem like the right time or place to do it anyway.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been full... I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting...
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting any of her time.
Well, would you consider some more, unique?
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you.
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play, don't you think?
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard to pull off. We'd have to go...
All right, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed. Then wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her... I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything.
That might work, but that's not really the problem.
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. All right, no more joking around. Perhaps you did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations. False accusations she had nearly upheld personally. I imagine that...
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense. Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know, strike while the iron is hot and all.
Huh? Paimon, did you drink my Fanta?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really paying attention in the cup.
No, it's fine. We're just about done here.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fanta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Well, in that case, we'll have to blacklist the Fanta here then. If we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore. Nah, that would be so... normal. You know, like you.
Okay. As for...
Hey, Navia! What are you doing?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to try to meet the Hydro Archon again.
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're always welcome to... in any case, I wish you smooth...
See ya!
We cannot just rely on you.
people around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Araneus might have been the last one.
Vache.
Looks like we're back here. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices? Ugh. That's kinda spooky.
Vache? Vache.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? There might be something that... Huh? Hang on. Paimon can kinda... Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Vache, are you... my dear Vache? No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vache? Wait. Who am I? I'm very sorry. I fear my memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide, never to be recovered. How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten? Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water. And then... I also remember going to many places. I loved... No matter where I went, Vache would go with me. I knew how dear... But now, we can no longer go back. The pain of such parting... No! Our reunion no longer has any meaning. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the waters. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. That is the only thing I still remember. Perhaps that is so, as I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness. If only I could have comforted him, told him that I did not suffer. Is that what you call it? Dissolving? It was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless want and anxiety. I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go, I think. Farewell, then. I am glad that you were able to sense my presence.
Demoiselle, look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand?
Quick, now's our chance!
I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Clorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely as of late.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually—
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust. He would do the same.
Do not speak of my father!
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid unnecessary—
Sorry, I did not—
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion—
I doubt I know much more than you, but I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances is— Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
Huh. I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against me. And what about these garter mechs? I thought only those associated with a Miss Ong—
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to enforce the law. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not—
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That's my father. Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clorand. But
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you.
Right. I suppose that's the best news.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clorand was being sincere with you. If—
I know, she's—
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved— Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clorand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, I hope that every meal— As such, we're still partners. There's no need—
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosula on account of her goodwill long ago.
All right.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did show up in the nick of time.
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed?
Yes. All thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
How did—
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky. Fanta only comes in sweet flavors, so how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink—
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the
Yes. So if you hadn't drunk the—
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we—
Huh? Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate, but whoever did this left no trace at all. That's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and—
What? Why would they go after us, too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name!
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process. Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial seawater?
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. He said that he— Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too! But it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater? Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it—
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were—
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that is important. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene, but he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he have been threatened? Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll help us investigate?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula, after all.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? I'll arrange accommodations for you. We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But we'll take that once.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't followed.
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone
Very good. But
I shall find rooms for our respect.
thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, Traveler.
This is your base?
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our funds have been a little tight. After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us.
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, that does sound like...
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago.
Your father... He was the previous...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor, instead of standing trial.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence. Strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, 3 years later, how could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get...
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in, but I haven't found a single new clue in my... However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his friend, I must get to the truth. If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me. And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Demoiselle, please. If there is anything...
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait! If Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little...
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something people love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, we have to find the truth. He didn't deserve to have that happen to him.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was...
Oh! Her? Well, then... isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him? Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can just...
Miss Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how he was resolute in the arena, there was only ever one choice she could have made.
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just can't deal with this yet.
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have to force yourself to do that.
Afterward, Miss Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety. Yes, that is our understanding as well.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right, anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end. Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after all.
Yeah! Paimon's feet.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you rest soundly.
Paimon slept so well. This place feels almost too safe. Huh? Navia? Where did the other...
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the moment.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the...
Wait! So you didn't...
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But that does prove that this...
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to threaten, no matter how much they wanted to. And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed files on all the cases in recent years are kept. If the Oceanid you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some...
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? Whew. Guess that's the hard-working Chief Justice for you. In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we? Aren't you coming?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the Honorable Chief Justice.
My experiment will succeed. No, my sword!
Animal test 6308. Swirl, Mark 2.
Take flight! Embrace the ice! My apologies! I'm going in! Rain cutter! Rain outlines your fate. Kamisato out! Sumetsu! Whirling snow! Let's light it up!
Absorption test. Stand clear.
Take flight! Sakura swirl!
Enhanced Animal Module 75. Absorption test.
Let me weave you a bird.
Everybody stand back!
Kamisato art! Sumetsu!
Take flight!
Whirling snow! Sakura swirl! No, my sword!
Ad Astra.
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters. This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Nervalet's files are—
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you—
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. I'm in contempt. If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't—
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician—
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry.
We're here on official business.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Ah, thanks so much.
Please come in.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only like to get in because...
It's all right. Please let me know how
So you're not mad?
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find...
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the file.
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk?
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been involved in any case, criminal or civil. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man.
And what are you trying to say? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just... no. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die? Despised and hated by all, everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was...
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. What? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value.
Oh? Wait.
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then got washed away with the... Yeah! And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities!
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. Alright, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom...
Yeah! We're gonna make progress for sure!
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great. Let's go then. There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, my father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we... A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sun. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself...
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main... Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so...
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You still remember, right, Melus?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson. At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant...
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water...
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him. Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. so he could never get anything out of the dealers. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some... But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who...
Huh? How did that happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes, but, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With what?
You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with 0 warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Bob.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one... What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage... Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that. Ever. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the...
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle...
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already... But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to...
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness, and the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hand, but as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not...
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful...
So he chose to die in silence, so that he...
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you, if Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you... I'm sure he'd be extreme.
That fool. No. He might have set up everything precisely because Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with—
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, when he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go—
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal— The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves—
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how—
That's true. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with a disappearance.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live, but I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets.
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least when I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest—
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina—
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth deal, it's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Aw, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end...
It is settled, then. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed to face the two of you.
If it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support. I understood your guilt and apology to be genuine.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with losing a father so needlessly.
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you, because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation gift. I know only the full truth could bring closure.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but on the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more...
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe...
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, so when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-up.
They found out about his...
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the... I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible for me to hate him.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad? Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel...
Yeah. Papa was a really good man. The best in the whole world.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons. Regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword. He must have done so to give you a better life.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to hear this. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone said that to me.
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florent should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House. Someone got turned into water right in front of us.
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all it's worth. And it'll be all the talk for the next several weeks.
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, It was raining outside, and we found some clothes left at the scene. After my partner here put the dots together for me, I feel like we should try to reopen his case. Can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callus was feeling pretty upbeat that day. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go without thinking much of it. My first reaction was that Mr. Callus's life was in danger. So I grabbed my holster and made a mad dash toward the scene. But when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callus was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands.
So you also remember 2 gunshots then?
Indeed. The guards said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. But reason being, Mr. Callus had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns on his person. About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third person there who was turned into water?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no reason to bring an extra gun with him. The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a third person on the scene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callus ended up with the But hold on. If that's what had happened, then why didn't he even want to face the Oratrice machine? And chose instead to prove his honor in a duel? Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malus told me a thing or two. So, I think I can understand why. I'll tell you everything.
I understand. Then, I'll leave Mr. Callus's honor in your hands, boss. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callus the Unfaithful epithet has been a thorn in my... Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus. But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula and live the life no matter what others might say. He'll always be the man I respect the most.
Don't worry. I will definitely find the truth. You and all our other comrades at the Spina
Retail is just like futures. You gotta invest a lot before you get started.
Hey, Thierry! It's me!
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia?
Oh, so you've come...
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the guards, you know. The way you make it sound, people would think I was sent off to Poisson because I had...
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you have been called back to the city already?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Let's just say I enjoy the ambiance of Poisson. Callus did a fantastic job running the town, building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing many obstructions in my... It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy... Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these two...
Yes. These two are my partners. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's may be related. We're trying to reinvestigate the details of my father's old case.
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water, right? I was also flabbergasted when I first heard of it. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case, I can help you look for them.
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have another question. Do you have the authority to dispatch Gardamex?
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poisson on my own. Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully get more evidence for your father's case.
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardamex in the city. So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do was get rid of the mecha serial numbers and send them after me.
Then you think too highly of my abilities. Dispatching mecha is very different from controlling them. If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but not to massage your shoulders or carry your baggage. If you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. The same goes for me and my Gardamex. Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps to it, and it's almost impossible to keep. So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private units. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though, being in the synth business would definitely be
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, well, thank you for the vote of confidence, Navia. Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with your investigation. I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me if you need any support from the guards.
Hello. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know? You can just say Navia's looking for him.
Sure. I will let him know right away.
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. There's no need to. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House.
Yes, I've never seen anything so strange.
Oh, you were at the Opera House too?
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into a whole murder mystery? I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your exploits over a few glasses of wine.
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of drunkards.
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as a nation. Everyone loves drama and theatrics.
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact that humans can dissolve in water?
Yes, I was reminded of your father's case right away. Is that what you're investigating now?
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can sense that the other side has already begun to act.
Oh, and what makes you say that?
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water from the primordial sea.
If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you right now.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. Wasn't it you who protected us?
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought so dearly will soon become a thing of the past. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the last Mora to bring them to justice.
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hiding. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me, so it'll take me a while to recall my memory. The confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. I didn't even have the time to drink with the guests. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around some more, see if there are any valuable clues elsewhere.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever need Mora. All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it takes to clear his name.
We've talked to all 3 suspects, purely based on their conversations with me.
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to find them out. Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were able to find.
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he left home. If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father. Had he refused, he...
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he had completed his mission, he'd be of no more use to his boss.
So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his back on the order. Makes sense. But without evidence, that's still just a theory. Besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me quite a bit as well. It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial sea.
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead to the end?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite possible. But who among the 3 suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex? Uncle Marcel? My father did really trust him. And they worked together, and with funds from the confrérie, he could also afford a large number of guards. It's still really hard for me to imagine, though. After all, Uncle... Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of Mora and energy to fight his own synth business? Florent? It is true that he was but as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with personnel and security. So he shouldn't have...
So you're saying he's too broke to afford a mecha?
Exactly. He can't. And even if he could, I don't think he would be able to Thierry, you say? It is possible that he's figured out a way to convert the Gardamex for personal use, but I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha.
Yeah, had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able to prove it with a simple check of the guard's inventory. If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and how that...
Who could it be? You know, if you think everything through, Uncle Marcel is indeed the most suspicious of them all.
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing when he narrowed it down to these three, did he?
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. When he laid out his case for the three, the rationale he gave me made a lot of... The suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to dispatch Mecha to assassinate us, and possesses significant intellect and foresight. Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie back to...
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes. Malus did say that charging straight in there would be extremely... We need far more solid proof before we can hope to go charging in on our enemy.
Navia, here you are.
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the...
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left. We've got another trial.
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials? What's...
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tartaglia.
What? Is that someone you know?
Yeah, we know him. Maybe...
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case. It's absurd.
Wait, how? None of our investigation...
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell you the news right away. If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support any of our planned investigations.
Right, because they'll think they've already found the...
Yeah, and it'll be a lot harder than to...
I understand. Well, partner... Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Just as since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, the culprit's attention will be focused on Irenaeus. You're right. This is our best opportunity. All right then, let's do this. I won't have any chance of making that charge stick though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be up to you to make it back into...
We'll help you, just like you helped us in Lenny's...
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Malus, Silver, when did you
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson and figured that you might require our... It's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered.
Thank you so much. Then, let's make haste for Irenaeus. Paimon,
see you then! Now that Navia has set out for Irenaeus, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over. According to Malus's info, the synth production base is underwater. Let's go and try to find the entrance. So this is the entrance that leads to the synth production base. It sure doesn't... you're right. An important place like this is bound to have a ton of protective measures and mechanisms. Navia's probably arguing up a storm right now to stall for us.
It would appear that I must repeat my question again, Mr. Tartaglia. Do you accept the charge that you are the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case?
To be perfectly honest, I don't understand your country's complicated court system, or the reason why I'm being charged with some. However, I did hear that people who have been charged can choose to participate in a duel to clear their. In which case, as long as I accept the charge, I can have an all. I've got to admit, that's one of the most enticing offers I've ever received. When I privately sparred with her last time, she was obviously holding back.
Hey! Don't you understand? You're currently the prime sus-
Oh? Sounds like the Hydro Archon wants to lecture me on the ways of the op. Then why don't you duel me too? I'm the kind of student that learns best in the heat of battle.
No. That's not what I meant.
Alas, it would appear that communication with the defendant is going poorly. And we have... In that case, let me explain everything from the very beginning again. The goal of this trial is to determine...
That case had nothing to do with him. You... Huh? What's going on? Why is she interjecting?
I told you it couldn't be one of the Fatui harbingers.
Miss Navia, this is the second time you've interrupted the court proceedings. I only tolerated your behavior last time because you were able to provide the court with a key eyewitness. But that was an exception rather than standard court protocol. I can very well charge you with contempt of court for your interjections.
Oh, please. Did you ever think I had any respect for this place's pointless We can put that discussion aside for now. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to and if my charges prove true, then Tartaglia here will be proven innocent.
Oh, a young lady has charged in and offered to clear my name. How fascinating. Well, I'd gotten half bored. So, Your Honor, is there nothing else for me to do now?
You may take a seat for now in the audience, but that doesn't mean the suspicions against you have been lifted. Now then, Miss Navia, who is the person you would like to charge instead?
That person is... Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières! Huh? What confrérie?
I've heard of them, but weren't they Spina di Rosu?
Oh, is this going to be a friends to enemies type situation?
Please let me remind you, Miss Navia, that charging someone is an incredibly serious matter. Committing to the charge also means, and if the charge fails, depending on the circumstances, you may also be charged with the crime of making a false accusation. Knowing this, do you still wish...
Yes.
In that case, I declare the charge to be valid. Miss Navia and attorneys, please take your places on the court. Members of the guards, please contact Mr. Marcel right away so that he may... Mr. Marcel, you will not require an attorney. Is that correct?
Apologies, sir. It all just happened so quickly. I still haven't figured out what's going on. I think an attorney won't be necessary. This is probably just a misunderstanding between...
Very well. In that case, since both sides have now arrived, Miss Navia, please...
I would like to take everyone back to 3 years ago, to the case of Callus the Unfaithful. Only through elucidating what really happened in that case...
Navia, do you really think that... Come on, why would I do that? Callus was my benefactor, and remember both you and I only ran to the scene when we heard... If that's enough to make me a suspect, wouldn't that make everyone at that banquet a suspect as...
I think there's no point in getting into the specifics right now. The audience doesn't even have the big picture yet. Even I'm struggling to remember.
Exactly correct, Your Honor. I must refresh everyone's memory about that case before
I see. In which case, I will recount the findings about that case as originally recorded by Maison Gardiennage. On the day of the murder, Spina di Rosula hosted a large banquet in a countryside estate owned by the Confrérie of Cabrières. During the banquet, all attending guests heard When the guests arrived at the scene, they found the primary suspect, Callus, holding a gun, while his acquaintance Jacques lay dead from a gunshot wound. The guards' investigation did not recover any other firearms from the scene. As a result, they concluded that the suspect's first shot must have missed, while the second, the suspect did not dispute this conclusion, and also declined to defend himself in court. Instead, Callus was defeated by champion duelist. These are the known facts.
The one with the motive to kill was Jacques, not my father. And even in truth, the third person shot Jacques first, and was shot in turn by my father when my father seized. After that, the true culprit turned the third person into water, erasing all traces of him from the scene. Thank you for the summary, Your Honor. Of course, the guard's conclusion. However, we should revisit the case now that we've gained new information about the ability. This assassin first shot Jacques, then turned to shoot Callus. The testimony, however, in the end he reconsidered, and instead shipped. Unfortunately for Jacques, the true culprit had a pile of clothing was found at the scene. The guards once believed, but now it is clear that the clothes were proof that there was a third person at the scene. And that they were, since it was raining that day, the culprit was confident that they could use the rain to wash away all. Realizing this, the true culprit caused the hired assassin to dissolve into water, leading everyone to...
So that's what happened. Wait, you're telling me something as dangerous as water from the primordial sea has been used for all these years?
What a great theory. It also explains Callus's and Jacques' respective motives. I guess they didn't shoot each other after all.
Mr. Marcel, you are the one being charged with the crime. You should provide a rebuttal if you wish to prove your innocence.
But I think I agree with everything Navia just said. In fact, there was nothing in her speech that directly implicated me.
Then, may I ask some questions? In my opinion, we primarily need to determine two things. One, do you have the evidence to back up your claims?
I'm afraid not. At least not...
Boo! If you don't have it...
I may not have the evidence with me, but I know where I could go to collect it. If we look up the deserted clothes against a record of people who went missing, we should be able to find a match. Considering the serial disappearances case, the guards probably kept careful records of all missing persons from around that time, regardless of age or gender.
That makes sense to me. Monsieur Neuvillette, I would consider this to be a reasonable investigative direction.
Why do I feel like Farina's acting a little differently?
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself.
Alternatively, she's become more diligent after charging an innocent citizen.
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. If the truth is indeed as you describe, then why didn't Mr. Callus explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been dissolved...
I've thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. He felt the dissolving power of water from the primordial sea is an important secret for My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose to take it to the... At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had no guarantee. What was certain, however, was that it would paint a gigantic target on my back.
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected as the next target of the serial disappearance.
What? If the secret had gotten out, the culprit would have fought an all-out war with Espina right there and then. I wouldn't have been the only one in danger. all of us would. Of course, the guards might eventually figure out the truth of the matter, but what good would that do? How can a hollow verdict protect anyone? Had this opera house ever given my father any kind of confidence in its brand of justice, Spina di Rosula would have had no reason. But by staying silent, we retain the ability to deter our opponents and continue the stalemate. I was able to become Spina di Rosula's president, which made me harder to target, as well as giving me more time to grow and learn. And once I have figured out the truth and stepped up to the challenge, I will do what this opera house cannot.
So, you mean to say...
That's right.
Do you have any proof?
Of course. All you need is to ask his opponent, Cloran. I don't need your apology, your guilt, or your support from the shadows. You don't have to do anything from... But since he entrusted his will to you, Clorand, you should tell us the
so... During the duel, did you believe that Callus was intending to die?
Yes, I did. As a champion duelist, I've fought many battles and taken a countless number of dishonored lives. In my line of work, I've seen all kinds of people give their all for the faintest hope to continue living. Some were determined, others passionate. Just one look and I can tell if a duelist is hoping to live, or if they're... I hereby swear on my name and honor as a champion duelist that Mr. Callus never intended to leave the ring alive.
Since that's your testimony, I have no more questions. It appears they're really...
I concur. However, Miss Navia, you still have not explained the link between your father's case...
Right? What she said was fascinating, but kind of...
Wait, weren't they just talking about the serial disappearance?
Of course, Your Honor. The two cases are connected via a matter of timing. In my father's case, the culprit intended to kill both Jacques and Callus. As a result, they planned to act after hearing 2 gunshots. And, at the end of Linny's trial, the culprit also only dissolved the victim in front of everyone because they realized they were at risk of being identified. The culprit could only time their actions so precisely if they were already at the scene. Coincidentally, Marcel attended both the banquet and the trial.
So that's why you suspected me. Even after hearing your reasoning, I still can't help but find it a little preposterous. I'm used to it, though. You've always been an impulsive and sentimental child, Navia. It's one of your most endearing traits.
No need to appeal to pathos.
I won't try to refute your points one by one, but even if everything you just said was true, can you prove that I was the only person present at both events? On top of that, does a person have to be physically present to control the timing? Can't someone remotely monitor the place?
I don't know what you can say to that.
I know that even with that, you might still think you can reduce the list of suspects with some further investigations, until I'm the only one left. Alas, who won't feel at least a little hurt by an accusation of murder from a girl you see as your own daughter? But if I were to dismiss this completely, you'd also think I'm not being considerate of your feelings. Do you know what the biggest flaw in your reasoning is?
I suppose you're gonna...
It's timing again. I'm a businessman by trade. From that standpoint, there's no reason for me to kidnap young women. It's a high-risk act. In addition, I left my home in Snezhnaya when I was young to come to Poisson and work in some trade. My business only thrived when I received Callus's patronage. But the disappearances began before I ever stepped foot in Fontaine.
I do apologize, Demoiselle.
No, it's not your fault.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to check the date of my first business license against the first known case of this? You can also take a look at my border entry records, or ask my friends and family when I left Snezhnaya for the... Could those records and testimonies do something to appease the unspeakable...
Seems like she got the wrong guy. At this rate, Navia will be convicted for falsely accusing him.
I think you've done a superb job of dissecting your father's feelings as he neared the end of his life. But aren't you going against all of his wishes and expectations right now? He wished for you to become more rational, collected, and conscientious, instead of dwelling only on your own feelings. Once you've learned to be more considerate of others' feelings, and to stop rushing headlong into things, you'd have met most of his expectations.
This isn't just about me, and it never has been.
The biggest difference between me and the rest of the victims is that I still have the ability to search for the truth. The people whose families were destroyed by synth abuse, the people who lost their loved ones to the serial many people's images are flashing before my eyes. I'm sure some are coming. And whose image? Is it a man named Vache?
Huh.
Oh, so you do know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone
I was waiting for you to...
Take flight! Whirling snow! Kamisato art! Sometsu! Rain cutter!
Whoa! The floor is going up! Is it because of this mechanism in the middle? That guy really prepared a lot of stuff for this place. Go up, but Paimon doesn't see a way. Let's take a look around. Maybe we'll find a hidden mechanism that'll show us the way up. The water level is rising! Now we can swim to the top! But this is still a ways away from where we need to go.
My apologies! Yeah! Teamwork is dream! Whirling snow! Yeah! 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 My apologies!
flight! Hip! Ha! Ha! Animal hypostasis? No, my sword! Whirling snow! Yeah! Yeah!
Let me leave you a verse.
My apologies! Kamisato art! Sometsu! Yeah! Ha! Ha! Yeah! Whirling snow! Yeah! My apologies! Yeah! Yeah! Now the path is clear! Let's go! Whirling snow! Embrace the ice!
Rain outlines your fate.
Everybody stand back! My apologies! Yeah! Stand clear! A minor error. I should sleep on it. Take flight! Kamisato art! Sometsu!
Witness the power of Gu. Rain outlines your fate.
Embrace the ice!
I'm going in!
After all that, we finally made it. Though, as expected, the mastermind isn't here. That's right. Then let's hurry up and find some evidence so we... What's all this? like accessories, a hair tie, a necklace, even a makeup box. Oh, Paimon sees it too, but why are all these cute things Huh? You mean the girls from the serial disappearances? And then and all the boxes of things, these names. Let's see what's written here. Nothing escapes Detective Paimon's eyes. Callus, Navia's father. Oh, this seems to be an investigation report on... Yep, it's about finding someone to assassinate Jacques. This should prove the existence of the third person, right? We still have not determined the exact content of the key information. The old dog's a real menace to deal with. Even if he abides by the promise he's made to us, he can act whenever he wants to make our lives miserable. The only option left is... I concur. Let's send someone to kill him. He won't declare war as long as we don't touch... Oh, seems like we've got a bunch of correspondence between the higher-ups. They're all... Oh, look! There's an important-looking basin over here, and it's full of water! That means this is where they make all the synth! And that special water is the... If you dilute it with normal water, you'll get synth, but the pure stuff can dissolve... Paimon will take notes on this incriminating evidence. What's this over here? Looks like some... Experiment number 16 aims to verify Jacob Ingold's research conclusions on the primordial sea and use his theory as... The experiment was a failure. No individual managed to resurface from the water from the primordial sea. Female specimens 22, 23... Sorry, Traveler. Paimon will try her best. It's just... How can someone write something that terrible in such a matter-of-fact tone? You read the rest. Paimon's too scared to keep going. So that's why he did all of these experiments. But did he really think he'd be able to find a way just by dissolving people over and over? That's just insane! Huh? Isn't that the name you heard by the fountain? Paimon thought he was an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. You mean Vacher is the one who did all of these... experiments? So that's it! Vacher was no victim. But no, that's not it either! If that's the case, why would he want people to resurface from the water? In any case... Whoa! There's so much synth here! And so many bottles of ingredients that probably just contain the waters of the... Mixing in progress? Ready to drink? Stock sample? Whoa! There's even fruit-flavored synth? Yep, it's super... We've looked at almost everything here, and it seems like our theories were spun up. Yeah, we haven't found anything that reveals his truth. No wonder even Neuvillette wasn't able to find anything. Whoever it is probably destroyed everything to do that way. Even if we bring all this back to the opera, we won't be able to identify the true culprit. Sure thing. Paimon won't admit... lover's name? Then you found her dead? Aw. It's just a normal diary chronicling their... So many! A whole page's worth! But they're all crossed out. The final name she did... Marcel. Wait, but Marcel's pretty old. Has this case been going on for so long that...
And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man named Vacher? Oh, so you do...
I've merely
I was waiting.
Navia! We're back!
As expected of my partner. I just...
Just how often do you intend to...
It's all right, Monsieur Nervalette. Given their confidence, I...
But the truth of it, Marcel, is that you've always been Vacher.
Huh?
We've investigated your lair, and we already know after your lover, Venier, was dissolved, you kept abducting young women to experiment on the... You even created Marcel as a new identity, and destroyed all records of your past as Vacher.
So that's it. Even the villains in opera performances rarely go that far. And with that, Marcel's motive has now been established.
This information regarding your past also dismantles your prior timing defense. Well, Marcel, you fixated your gaze on the lover that passed away, instead of paying attention to... So, you never noticed how we changed, or how we...
You also never understood Boss's real expectations for his daughter.
Or our determination to see things through.
Your determination.
Mr. Marcel, please speak up now if you would like to defend yourself. Otherwise, the trial will move on to the next...
Do you really think I wanted to do it? Pay attention to you? What for? Have you ever paid attention to me? Ever empathized with my pain? Ever known how it feels to watch the love of your life? No one helped me. No one even believed me. All those decades ago, they said there's no way a human being can turn into water. So I must have gone mad from grief. Vinier's death was brushed away by all of... Well, now you know, don't you? Ha! Well, it's too late now. You only have yourselves to blame. You set up this ornate opera house in pursuit of your so-called justice. Your beloved drama. Vinier is dead. We promised each other that we would always be together. Wherever she goes. But I'm not from this blasted place. So I can't be dissolved.
Hey, is that water from the primordial sea that he's drinking?
I can't dissolve! Can't dissolve! Can't dissolve! Do you all see? I can't go! I can't follow! So if I can't go where she is, what? I did all of that. And in the end, that accursed Callus still... I spent my entire life living on pins and needles, only to get stabbed by his idiot daughter at the...
The suspect is exhibiting signs of mental distress. Guard!
Don't touch me! Don't anybody come near me! I still... Vinier, please, Vinier, don't think badly of...
At this point, the verdict of this trial is clear. With Mr. Marcel's conviction, the charges against Mr. Tartaglia no longer have any basis.
Fine by me. I was in a bad mood, but after a show like that, I'm actually feeling pretty good.
Traveler, please submit all the evidence you have collected to the guards, so that I might review and summarize the truth behind the serial disappearances case. The man now known as Marcel was originally named Vacher and worked as an adventurer with his partner and lover Vignier. During an underwater expedition, Vignier accidentally came into contact with water from the primordial sea and was dissolved in front of Vacher as a result. Vacher learned of the primordial water's existence through the work of others and began to kidnap young women for research, with the goal of discovering a method to restore Vignier back to life. To cover his tracks, he invented the new alias of Marcel and began to operate a business in Poisson. During the course of his research, Vacher discovered that a diluted concoction of water from the primordial sea can induce feelings of euphoria, and began to However, as he accumulated wealth to fund his continued research and expanded the scope, after exchanging blows with Spina di Rosula for many years, Vacher decided to assassinate their president. Although the assassination did not go as Vacher expected, he was able to turn Callus into the murder suspect and just recently, Vacher attempted to frame Linny as the culprit of the serial disappearances case, using a similar method. However, his attempt to frame Linny failed, and the power of water from the primordial sea became public knowledge. This case also exposed enough of Vacher's machinations that he was eventually successfully charged in court. Thus concludes the enigmatic history of the serial disappearances case, with the truth revealed to all. The Oratrice will now deliver the final verdict regarding the charges against Mr. Vacher. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Mr. Vacher is guilty.
Guards! Take Vacher away.
Good. It's what he deserved.
With that, the serial disappeared.
We really just witnessed history. Who would have thought the true culprit would be such a polite...
Yippee! We have Navia! He's hurt so many innocent people. Huh? Are you okay?
Demoiselle, you were absolutely...
The day our late boss had always hoped for has finally come. You can rest easy.
Yeah. It's fine. See, Papa? Spina di Rosula's still doing well with me at the helm.
Well now, hasn't this been a most delicious piece of drama? The villain has been caught, justice has been served, past wrongs have... Since it's been such a great show, I'll just let the false accusations against me slide. Either way, I've still...
Please wait just one moment, Mr. Tartaglia.
What now? None of this has...
According to court protocol, since this trial was initiated due to a charge against you, a verdict must also be made regarding the initial charge before...
Oh, come on. Is this really necessary? Haven't you already caught...
Please respect the laws of Fontaine. This has always been the...
All right, but this sure is a lot of hassle. All I need to do is stand over there, right? Let's just...
Through evidence presented in the public trial that was just held, it has been established that Mr. Tartaglia has no direct connection to the serial disappearances case. The guilty party has been identified, and thus it is logical to suppose Mr. Tartaglia is innocent of the charges. We now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse... Guilty.
What?
Hey! That's not funny! What's with this verdict? Is your justice machine...
Huh? This has never happened before. The Oratrice...
I mean, have you ever heard of an innocent Fatui Harbinger? Do you think the Oratrice might have just convicted him on general principle?
But weren't the charges about the serial disappearances case? No matter what else he's guilty of, it shouldn't affect the verdict in this case.
The judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale is, by law, the final verdict of the court. Guards, please take the suspect into custody per court protocol.
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What a joke. You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
I am sorry. If you have been wronged, we will find the truth. But the rules of the court must be upheld.
Hey, Monsieur Nouvelette, what's going on? Shouldn't they have been cleared already?
Apologies. This is also the first time I've encountered such a situation. However, according to the rules established at the conception of Fontaine's court system, all I do is follow court procedure. As for why the Oratrice arrived at the conclusion it did, you should probably ask someone more knowledgeable than me.
Why are you looking at me? I had nothing to... I don't know what happened there.
What does Lady Farina mean by that?
She says she has no idea either, but that's impossible.
Yeah, so are the verdicts reliable or not? Can results like this really be called
My dearest citizens, did you really think we'd allow an incorrect verdict to be handed out in this court? Don't tell me. You thought even I had been blindsided by the But
the way she looked just now, it was pretty obvious.
However, given the state of things, I shall give you an explanation. Everything that just took place, including my supposed shock and bafflement, and, of course, for every performance there is a script. Everything has unfolded exactly as I expected from the very beginning. If you thought Child had nothing to do with the serial disappearances case, it is only because you've been blinded by the superficial everything he's done, not to mention the danger he poses, are beyond ordinary comprehension. All shall be revealed in time. You will come to understand my noble intent. Now, having said that, although I hate to leave things hanging in suspense, it is now time for this performance to end. As the lead actress, I shall be the first to take my leave. Toodaloo!
So she chose to make her escape after all.
So you're saying we shouldn't put much stock into what she just said?
She probably just put on that performance to save face. As for the truth... However, please be assured that I will continue to investigate this case in a personal capacity. Just as I promised, if the judgment has been incorrect...
All right. Even though we feel after all, he's done plenty of bad stuff. So he should have known he'd go to prison someday, right?